And good morning, everybody. This is Fox 10 Talks. The FBI is saying it has made substantial progress in the last 36 to 48 hours. As we all know, really from around the world, people were talking about the images that were released by the masked man who showed up during those fateful hours early on Sunday morning at Nancy Guthrie's house. We have full coverage for you. We have our Irene Snyder, who has been reporting from all the way down to Rio Rico. If you're not familiar with it, that's on the highway between Tucson and the Mexican border. We're going to be talking about that with Irene. We also have Danielle Miller, who's been right in the neighborhood reporting some of the newest developments, including TMZ saying somebody else reached out to them and they claim they know who the abductor is and they want a Bitcoin. Which would be worth a little more than the $50,000 if they would simply contact the FBI. If they actually know truly who the abductor is. Also today, we've got a great poll question for you. What with a meeting going on right now, we're watching the White House for maybe some sort of a joint statement from President Trump and Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu. Is the president too focused on Iran and other countries instead of problems in the U.S.? 38, hold on, numbers moving around. Grab that QR code. They'll keep moving. No, not at all. Iran must be stopped from having a nuclear bomb. 36% yes. From ICE to inflation, he needs to focus on issues at home. And then 3% saying it really doesn't matter. Democrats are going to take power next year and then they will fix things. So what with these newest developments coming in from multiple locations in southern Arizona, let's go to our Irene Snyder, who is now reporting for us. She's actually in the news vehicle. Irene, you guys just wrapped up in Rio Rico. What did you learn during your time there as things were kind of unfolding?
Well, yeah, good morning, Ron. So basically where we were standing is in Rio Rico. You kind of mentioned it's about 10 miles just from the southern border of Mexico there. But the house we were standing in front of did belong to Carlos, which is the man that police detained yesterday. So we tried to speak with him this morning. We saw him in his backyard. He didn't want to talk to media. He already spoke to a lot of us last night, and that's some of the sound that you'll hear in a moment, too. But we talked to some of his family. Again, they, at this point, said they already spoke to the media, didn't want to reach out and speak more again. Didn't give a full reasoning for that. They just didn't want to talk again this morning, but they were nice to us. But we saw in front of their house the vehicle that was detained last night. We also saw a work truck that Carlos has as well that was also searched last night. So that's something that we were keeping an eye on this morning. An FBI and the sheriff's office also said they have a search warrant for that area, and that's a kind of area they were searching overnight and into the early morning hours. By the time we got there this morning around 5:30 or so in the morning, 6 o'clock, the area at that point, investigators were gone. We didn't see any more sheriff's vehicles out there until maybe around 9 o'clock or so. We saw one sheriff's vehicle pass through and then leave as well. So investigators, it seems like, are basically done with that scene. A lot more of them now in Tucson as they were over the last couple of weeks. But in a statement posted on X, the Pima County Sheriff's Department posted, quote, earlier today, deputies detained a subject during a traffic stop south of Tucson. The subject is currently being questioned in connection to the Nancy Guthrie investigation. News also now reporting the person being questioned has been released. The man that we spoke to last night. It's not clear if they're still considered to be a person of interest in the case at this time. And Fox News spoke to that man after he was released, and he had some things to say about it.
Were you the one who was pulled over in the traffic stop?
I was the one that was pulled over in the traffic stop.
Where was that?
Right here on by Wassim.
Okay, and you were taken into custody at that point?
Yeah.
And you were
I was being detained.
Detained, okay.
I was detained the whole time.
What were they asking you about?
Where my whereabouts.
Okay.
Where was I and all that.
Are you ever up in Tucson?
Yeah, I work in Tucson.
What do you do?
TLS, deliver packages.
Okay, do you think you might have delivered a package to Nancy Guthrie's house?
I don't know. Might have been a possibility. I don't know.
Yeah, do you ever deliver like Amazon packages or anything?
Well, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. So do you think you may have? Did they indicate that you might have been on her property? You're not sure.
Nah, they just came up. They. Until right now, all I know is that they show my in-law a picture of somebody wearing a mask or something, and they supposedly looked like my eyes.
Right. Okay.
That's it. That's all I know.
And the Pima County Sheriff's Department also searched a home related to that man who was detained. A woman who lives at that house told reporters she allowed investigators to search her home. Just before 1 o'clock this morning, investigators left that house and released a statement saying, in part, they had completed the search and the investigation is ongoing. The exact details about what they were looking for and what led them to this scene are not clear. The 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Anita Guthrie was last seen 11 days ago. So again, we're outside in front of the house that belongs to that man who was detained. We saw some family members out there this morning as well, and I think it seemed like a lot of confusion on their part, at least from what I could gather, as far as why he was being detained, why he was being questioned. We saw them in their backyard. As soon as they saw a lot of us, they kind of walked away. They didn't want to speak to media this morning. But really, what I could gather from them was a lot of confusion on their part. So that's the little bit of time I got to speak with them anyway. So I'll send it back to you, Ron. But, still waiting on more developments and more reasoning as far as why this man was detained in the first place.
It's interesting, Irene. I feel like I've heard some analysis here from people who would have knowledge of the way the FBI works. They are working on so many tracks at the same time now.
Yeah.
There are so many leads that they're pursuing, even before the release of the video. That's going to generate hundreds of new leads. I think perhaps that people made the leap that, oh, this video was released, and then they thought this was the guy from the video. That may or may not have been true. This could have been a completely different lead that they had been following for some time, yes?
Yeah, I mean, the FBI and the Sheriff's Department really didn't give a whole lot of detail as far as why they stopped this person, but they said it was a traffic stop. And what Carlos had described as far as his reasoning, we had asked him last night, why do you think you were detained? The family didn't really have a reasoning for it today, but last night he mentioned something about his eyes, and they thought they recognized his eyes. But that's from Carlos's point of view. That's not coming from the FBI or from the Sheriff's Department.
Irene, you have been down in Tucson all this week, last week, of course. This has been an ongoing story. What is it like? If you could kind of take us through some of these neighborhoods, what has it been like? What's the general feeling that you're getting from people who live in these communities? And, it is, I think everybody wants a resolution to this situation, and we're just waiting.
Well, the neighborhood that I was in today, I had not been in that one before. That was in Rio Rico, so about an hour south of Tucson. A lot of the neighbors there, I will say, they didn't really want to speak about it. I don't know if they fully knew what happened, or, they weren't really open to speaking with us about it. So I can't really say exactly what their point of view. But as far as in the Tucson neighborhood, which is where I was every other day, over the last couple of weeks covering this story, a lot of sadness from neighbors. And, they had in front of the house. Danielle was the one who was there today. They had a sign out there. They have candles and everything. People just saying how much, praying that everything is going to be okay. So, hopefulness, but also sadness, kind of a mix of those two emotions, I would say.
And in Rio Rico specifically, did it seem like, I know in Tucson, everybody's aware of it and everybody's talking about it. Did you get a different kind of vibe specifically in Rio Rico, that people are maybe not as tuned into it as they might be in Tucson, an hour to the north?
To be completely honest with you, most of the people in Rio Rico who I tried to speak with kind of, turned their back, and they knew we were media and didn't really want to talk to us. So they didn't really spend a lot of time speaking with me. But, it's understandable, too. They have a lot of media in their home. There was a big police investigation last night. I can't speak as far as exactly what they were feeling, but they didn't share a lot of that with me today.
Interesting. well done today, Irene. I know you all are headed back home here, and it's been a long morning for you. Well done today, and I know y'all have been hoping for a resolution to this case as well. It's been quite the last 11 days.
All right, Irene, thanks very much. You just never know, Syleste, the twist and turn. Who would have thought that this time yesterday, A, we would have video released from the doorbell cam, and B, that there would be an angle an hour to the south of Tucson, almost to the border in Rio Rico.
Well, it gives you guys an idea that I think a lot of people they've received a lot of calls. They say that the authorities have said they've received a lot of tips, and they're looking into every single one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they have to, right?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, it's a lot of work. Just the clothing angle alone, you know, to be able to now forensically try to figure out where'd that backpack come from? Where'd those tennis shoes? What about the mask itself?
Yes.
And then, Celeste, there's this angle, which people, of course, are still interested to see what's going on because the FBI, again, multiple tracks that they're following. But the FBI did go back to the home of Annie Guthrie and her husband just yesterday. She, of course, is the daughter of Nancy, and it was Nancy's son-in-law who we believe was the last person to see her alive, who dropped her off at the house on Saturday night at about 9:50 p.m. The garage door went up. 2 minutes later, it came back down. We believe that was him dropping her off. And so just kind of interesting that they were back at that house again. What you're trying to do, I think, is to eliminate people. You're crossing them off the list.
Yeah.
But they were also apparently looking in homes that were nearby at the same time. So we don't know exactly why that would have been. But it does look like for now they haven't fully exhausted their investigative efforts on that particular angle.
And did you already touch on at the top? I know it coming because I'm coming off the other set, but did you touch on the fact that there was some Bitcoin activity going on? I know we're going to have some more from TMZ and Harvey Levin later this morning.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Well, we touched on the fact that somebody did reach out to TMZ and claimed that, we know who the kidnapper is.
Yeah.
But it's 60,000 of Bitcoin and 50,000 from the FBI. Just do the right thing and call the FBI immediately.
Yeah, I think Fox News was reporting that there was like $300 worth of Bitcoin that was put into an account. They saw something moving around earlier this morning. And so I think there's all these different small developments. And can you imagine being the detectives on this case and trying to really work your way through it?
Oh, yes.
It is just so much work. And I mean, we appreciate their efforts, of course. But wow, what a case that they have on their hands.
You're exactly right. In fact, coming up next, here's what we're going to do. So we have had Irene all morning in Rio Rico. Danielle's been right on the ground, right there in Nancy's neighborhood. We're going to get you the latest on what she learned during her time there. We will get a little bit more into this activity, this Bitcoin activity that apparently has been spotted. Nothing in the huge dollar amount, but more to come on that. And then what neighbors are saying, too. As you can imagine, it's been pretty emotional for them. That's all coming up right after the break. All right, 10:15. We will do your mystery cam. Dino, hold on to that shot. We have so much going on in the breaking news business here that we're just going to hold on to the mystery cam for 15 more minutes. We've got a jam-packed show today, Syleste. And one of the things that you can imagine how the emotional exhaustion that people are going through as they live through this on an everyday basis. They have a neighbor of theirs who they know and who they love who has gone missing. And we don't know at this point if the family has to hold on, cling to hope that maybe she's still alive. But whoever the kidnapper is never has shown any proof of life. You know, and at the same time, you know that you moved into what they call a dark sky neighborhood, and there just aren't streetlights in that area. And it would be a little bit easier for criminals to move about in a neighborhood like this.
Yeah.
And you just don't know how vulnerable they feel. But with the release of that video, I think it's a chance to maybe talk to people who, despite everything they've been through now for the last 11 days, maybe now there's a little bit of hope.
I think so. I think yesterday morning, I think a lot of people were thinking, oh, man, it's bone dry, this case. What's happening? Right. And she lived there since the 1970s, I believe, so a very close-knit community. And, you touched on something, Ron, with some of the neighbors and that image. For all of you who are watching on YouTube and television and joining the chat, give us your first reaction to that video, the surveillance footage that was released, because in the newsroom when it was released, to give you a little bit of background, everybody kind of stopped, looked at the video, and it was frightening. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is what happened at this woman's front door. She's 84 years old, can't walk very far. And then it kind of leads your mind to what happened next. And so neighbors, you can imagine, are pretty frightened as well.
Take a listen.
See a little mustache and those eyes kind of just stand out. I mean, so just hoping that somebody soon recognizes him and knows the name.
It's really scary, that this could happen to someone who has so many good connections in the community.
Has this scared you at all personally, this case?
No, but I locked my doors more than I did. And I talk to people in other parts of the country, my family, and they all say, are you okay? Are you safe down there?
It seemed to me it was targeted. Somebody would think that somebody that knew who Nancy was, that's Savannah's mom. I mean, I think about my mom and devastation, just horrible. So just hoping that, that they find him quick and find Nancy and get her home to the family.
Yeah, you could hear the emotion in his voice because you put yourself in somebody else's shoes.
Yeah.
And here's the family, their mom, 84 years old, somewhat frail, not very mobile, they think is out there somewhere. And I mean, it's just got to be crushing for them while they hold on to hope.
Well, and you see this armed man, you see the weapon in the front of his pants, and the mask, and imagine she's in the home sleeping, according to the authorities. That's what we heard. You see this person in your house. It's so startling, and it really is heartbreaking. And the Catalina foothills, fairly quiet. Ron, I know we talk about it being like a dark area. There's not a whole lot of lights, but it has been a really kind of high-end neighborhood, I guess, if you will. A lot of retirees in this part of northeast Tucson, but really beautiful, kind of set along those foothills.
Quiet, that's a great way to describe it, and yet in the national spotlight, the glare of the national spotlight like never before. Let's go to Danielle Miller. She's been in that very neighborhood. And Danielle, I got to believe that it is a kind of a mix here on the part of people who know Nancy and who live nearby, where they just the fear probably continues to grow until we have some resolution. But at least finally that one possible clue.
Yeah, definitely. We've been there in the neighborhood every day. And as you can imagine, the national attention that this is gaining, the entire street, you pointed out, this is such a quiet neighborhood, very widespread. There's, half-acre lots to an acre lot. You're not really close to your neighbors, a lot of desert landscapes, so pretty secluded up there. It's a beautiful area. And the media has obviously everyone's there to cover this, so kind of taken over. We see a lot of people out there with their dogs walking in the morning, some joggers, some runners, and it's they walk out their door and they see it, and it's kind of just in their face every day of what happened and a reminder. So definitely, I would assume living there, pretty scary, and it is very dark if you're outside. When we get there very early morning, you can't even see really a piece of paper in front of it. It's just completely pitch black. And I think, yesterday having some sort of evidence in this case definitely kind of would bring some type of calming, just to kind of know that this is the investigation's ongoing. They're making moves, potentially leading to an arrest. But still, there's just so many questions, and I think everybody living there is just, like all of us, just really worried about Nancy first and foremost. And is she alive? Is she not alive? Is she hurt? Is she okay? And I think that's just the biggest concern right now for everybody out there.
Danielle, can you explain, since you've been in the neighborhood, for people who may have not been watching coverage for quite some time, you have the homes are not right next to each other. It's not just dark, but it's pretty, I wouldn't say completely remote, but there's land, right? These homes are on land. What's behind her house? Is it also just desert, or are there other homes behind there as well?
Yeah, it's a very widespread. So you have, as I mentioned, half-acre lots, acre lots, and pretty secluded area in terms of road, though. You're in the city, but it's definitely widespread as far as, walking to your neighbor's house. If, you're there, it's very quiet. The houses are not right on top of each other, very spread out. And as far as the vegetation, it's very desert landscape. There is cacti, tree, bushes, all sorts of desert landscape there. Pretty rugged.
Okay, a comment and then maybe one more question for you, Danielle. Here's the comment from Shaylin on YouTube. She said, "It made me cringe knowing that this individual had targeted this sweet woman. I am surprised that someone that chooses to cover a cam with a plant can keep the FBI on their toes. I hope they find her." We are going to be taught. I just watched this guy's movements, and he is the most casual looking, whether you want to call him a burglar or a kidnapper or criminal, that I've maybe ever seen. We're going to talk later in the 11:30 half hour to a body language expert. I did hear one yesterday saying, this is a guy who acts so frightened, I guess you could say.
Well,
like most people approaching, if you're about to pull off a kidnapping, you'd be furtive, you'd be looking around. He
looks very like he's done it before, or like, he's just comfortable doing it.
It's either that he's done it before or he's maybe been to this home before. Did you hear any talk about the actual video, Danielle, today?
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many theories out there. And also to point out, they haven't confirmed if this is a man or a woman.
That's
so we
true.
don't really know. I think everybody assumes that it's a man, and you never really know, and what type of disguise that person can have underneath. Obviously, we saw the really thick clothes, the thick gloves, and there's so many different theories out there. We have heard from so many different FBI experts of, this is somebody who is clumsy and not really skilled, but then you hear, yes, this person looks very not in a rush, which you think typically a burglar, if that's what they were trying to do, or even a kidnapping, is they want to get in and get out of there. This person was very lackadaisical, and you've seen him or her kind of hunched over, walking a little bit. But I think from all of that, body language, as well as we got a great shot of the eyes, somebody would recognize. I think those are very distinguishing features of a person. So, I have my walking style. Everybody has kind of the style they walk. Your eyes, obviously, but it's just, there's so many theories out there as to, what was this person doing? The backpack was completely full. Was it full of, things from previous robberies? Were they, kind of going through the neighborhood robbing people? Or
right.
You just, obviously we never know. And, once again, we don't know if this is a man or a woman. So.
Yeah. Danielle, thank you so much. We know you're driving home, and we thank you for calling in. You've been an important part of all of the coverage, and you've done a great job. So we appreciate that. Thank you. A couple of quick comments, Ron, as I know we're preparing to go to another quick break here. We have Jennifer. She says it's very cartel-ish in her opinion. There's lots of different theories being thrown out there as well. And then we also have another one is they're talking about the mustache. Darla Nicole says it looks drawn on. Like if you look close, if you look close enough, and even if you look close at the eyes, I slow-moed the video yesterday and I zoomed into the eyes and you can kind of see it almost looks like they have darker lashes or something. And so it does make you think, okay, there's some sort of a disguise there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. We do have that break coming up. We want to get to the poll question. We also want to get you kind of the very latest on what's going on. The tensions grow. Is a second carrier strike group going to move into position there, not far from both Israel and Iran? Benjamin Netanyahu leaving Israel, heading to Washington. We are keeping an eye on the White House. We believe that meeting, believe it or not, is still going on. It's been underway for quite a while between President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. But it does lead to our poll question. What do you think here? Is the president too focused on all these international issues, whether it's Iran, Israel, Venezuela, Greenland, etc.? 45% of you are saying not at all. Iran's got to be stopped from having a nuclear bomb. 54% say yes. From ICE to inflation, he needs to focus on issues at home. And 1% are saying doesn't matter. Democrats take power next year, predicting, and they'll fix things. Celeste, how about you?
Oh, this is interesting because we don't see these two polls align very often. In the last hour, we have about 930 votes. 32% of people are saying no, not at all. Iran must be stopped from having a nuclear bomb. Yes, from ICE to inflation, he needs to focus on issues at home. That one is winning at 56% right now. And it doesn't matter. Democrats will take power in 2027 and fix things, 12%.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we will take a break. Big D is filtering through your comments right now, both on YouTube and on the QR code as well.
Yeah, he might be sliding into your DMs, too. I don't know what he's filtering through back there.
Let's hope not. But that's coming up. Guess what? We will finally get to your mystery can.
Woohoo!
What are your guesses? That's all coming up. Plus, yes, we say hot seat all the time. But
yes.
Boy, Pam Bondi has been on the hot seat today. Some of that next.
All right, welcome back, everyone. You are looking live at your mystery camera this morning, Ron.
All right, yeah, we're getting some guesses. Darla, I love Darla. Sometimes she kind of thinks about it and maybe moves her options around.
And that's
so
okay.
it's Texas, but then it became Texas or possibly New Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Let's see, what do you think, Ron?
I like Texas. The thing about Texas is, what do they have, 200 and some odd counties?
Oh, it's so many.
I mean, every one of them's a county seat. This could be any one of 50 different cities in Texas, right?
Do you know what they say about Texas, Ron?
What is that, Celeste?
Everything's bigger
Oh,
in
man,
Texas.
it is huge, that's for sure.
And the higher the hair, the closer to God.
Okay. She's got them all memorized, ladies and gentlemen. What was your guess?
You know, I'm going to go with, can we go back to it one more time, Ron?
Sure.
As many of you are still, we've got a New Mexico from Buddha Sheep, and we've got a couple of other options in here. Missouri from Jennifer.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to go with an Oklahoma.
So an Oklahoma and a Texas, and here we go, everybody.
Here is Oklahoma City.
Really?
Yeah.
Celeste,
I know.
Nice last minute call there.
Well, I was thinking, we were in Oklahoma City not too long ago.
Oh, yes.
Spectacular barbecue.
Oh,
Right.
So good. Bell's here too.
Yum.
So good.
One of the great history museums anywhere in the country.
That's right. And
old space capsule there.
who was that cowboy that I took a picture with at the airport that I told you?
Will Rogers.
Will Rogers.
Yes.
They have the Will Rogers International
The
there.
cowboy humorist. Hey, the reason we have Bella here today is we overuse the phrase hot seat, Bella, all the time when somebody goes up on Capitol Hill to testify. But boy, it has been fireworks today.
It has been fireworks, just like we were talking about yesterday. So now we have Pam Bondi on the hot seat.
Oh,
and I made the mistake of wearing green today.
Even on that shot, Bella.
I wish I had my shawl. I had my shawl in my bag.
I wore green because I'm streaming the Seahawks parade later. So I had to show up for my city.
Well, the thing about it is we use the phrase talking head.
Yes.
All the time.
That's what you are. Anyway, go ahead and introduce your sound.
Yes. So this is a clip just from this morning. Pam Bondi is on Capitol Hill. She's answering to people essentially of how she has been handling the Department of Justice. And it has been a heated match. We can play the sound, but something that came out is she called someone a washed up lawyer. That was pretty big.
Here we go.
Yeah.
You've got to listen to the victims, like the women seated behind you today. Those are just some of the hundreds of survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's global sex trafficking ring who are demanding that the truth be told and are demanding accountability for the abusers who trafficked and raped them. You still haven't met with these survivors. Now, you're not showing a lot of interest in the victims, Madam Attorney General, whether it's Epstein's human trafficking ring or the homicidal governmental violence against citizens in Minneapolis. As Attorney General, you're siding with the perpetrators and you're ignoring the victims. That will be your legacy unless you act quickly to change course. You're running a massive Epstein cover-up right out of the Department of Justice. You've been ordered by subpoena and by Congress to turn over 6 million documents, photographs, and videos in the Epstein files, but you've turned over only 3 million. You say you're not turning over the other 3 million because they're somehow duplicative, but we know that there are actual memos of victim statements in there. And you also took down the Department of Justice's prosecution memo from 2019. So it's clearly not all duplicative, but even if it were, why not release it? Just release all the duplicative stuff. In the half you did produce, you redacted the names of abusers, enablers, accomplices, and co-conspirators, apparently to spare them embarrassment and disgrace, which is the exact opposite of what the law ordered you to do.
I find it interesting that she keeps going after President Trump, the greatest president in American history. And if they could maintain their composure, this isn't a circus, this is a hearing. I find it interesting she keeps going after Donald Trump. She doesn't say how much money she took from Reid Hoffman, did you?
None.
And nor did
Mr.
she
Chairman,
post
regular
anything.
order, please.
She posted nothing on her X account, on her Twitter account during the Biden years.
Gentle lady.
Yet now, all of a sudden,
question
she's going after
Committee will be in order.
There was no question on you.
Wow.
Yeah. So as you could see, it was pretty heated back and forth. This was regarding the Epstein files and how those were handled by the DOJ.
Yeah.
And while she did apologize to the victims that were present, she didn't apologize for how they handled releasing the documents.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, Isabella, thank you.
You're
Always
welcome.
appreciate
Thank
your
you,
coverage,
Bells.
that's for sure. Now, there is this other story, you guys, that we are following. I think I'm going to punch this up for us right now. This would be VO9. And this is the mystery of the El Paso airport. They announced that there was a complete shutdown of the airspace over El Paso up to 18,000 feet. However, and it was going to last for 10 days. It didn't even last 24 hours. It just got lifted at about 7 o'clock this morning. Celeste, we've learned a little more. It appears that it may be linked to the nearby city of Ciudad Juarez.
Yes.
And drug cartel drone activity in the airspace. So that's going to be a big issue in the coming
Oh, my
days, I got a
goodness.
feeling.
Yeah. Can you imagine, though, the idea that it would be shut down for an extended amount of time?
I couldn't believe it when I heard that.
Oh,
That
my
is for
goodness.
sure.
So we've got a special guest here with us, Ron.
Yeah, we do. Remember covering you all those years ago, Mr. Mayor, Paul
It's been
Johnson.
some time. I think I was in the studio 40 years ago. It's good to see you finally remodeling it.
Yeah, a lot of work being done here at this TV station for sure. But now you're focused on basically almost like a new political movement in the state of Arizona. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's a new movement. It's not a completely brand new party. It was the No Labels Party formed in 2023, but we renamed it. We renamed it the Arizona Independent Party. And we did that because today the single largest block of voters are independents, but yet if you decided to run for a statewide office, just as an example, you need 6,000 signatures to run as a Democrat, 6,000 to run as a Republican. You need 45,000 to run as an independent. It makes it impossible. They can't get it done. And so in renaming the party, it's to try to let that group of people, the independent and unaffiliated voters, know that there is access, that we give them access, that they don't have to follow the dogmas or the orthodoxies of the two major political parties, but they can run as an independent-minded person in our party if they'd like to.
You know, interesting. Ron and I were chatting in the middle of a break. Ron remembers covering you. I do not, because I was a child.
Celeste wasn't born when you were mayor.
But
Mayor.
impressive past. I mean, you were, I believe, a city council person at 25.
I was.
Mayor at 30.
Yes.
Impressive career in healthcare. Is that right?
I own a healthcare company, yes.
And why now? Why run for office now? What do you see in the political landscape in Arizona? Why do we need an independent governor?
Well, first, I'm not running. I'm trying to help young, bright people who want to run be able to have access to the ballot, who don't want to register in both parties. But, you know, when I go back to those days and being a council person, I used to I had to knock on doors. I was a Democrat at the time. I've been an independent for 20 years or so. But as a Democrat, you know, in a nonpartisan race, the district was 2-1 Republican. I had to knock on Republican doors, and I'd hear what Democrats have to say, but I also had to listen to Republicans, and they'd talk about their business or regulation, taxation, maybe people oppressing people they thought that were people of faith.
Was it much less like what we just witnessed take place? It really has got very contentious.
Yeah. So what's happened is that through gerrymandering and partisan politics, less than 8% of the people vote in a partisan primary, and in 80% of the seats, when they're done, they never have to go talk to people in the other party or independent voters because the district's been gerrymandered to the point that they don't need to. That's created the inability for these two political parties to solve our big problems. You saw that in Minnesota. You just saw that on what you were watching here. By the way, the single biggest thing that the voters that they talk to say is their biggest grievance is how much they hate people in the other party. But that's not the majority of the public. Again, less than 8% of the public actually votes in the partisan primary. We believe the only way that we're going to solve this is that we have to get that larger group of voters, the independents and unaffiliated, to participate, to run for office, and to force the other two parties to have to address them. I think
how do you get somebody elected as an independent? You have a lot of money that come from the Democrats, from the Republicans, for their sides. How do you get someone elected as an independent?
They have to do all the same work that you would normally have to do to win. There are clean elections money for people who are running for office that want to use clean elections, but that has some difficulties to it. But, you know, you have to go out and knock on doors. You have to be willing to meet people. You have to get your petition signed. You have to get your name on the ballot. Then you have to go raise money, raise capital to be able to get your message out.
Oh, go ahead.
But I was going to say, this is also about establishing a pathway, trying to make certain that there's a pathway. This isn't just about 2026. We're going to be doing this over the next 4 or 5 election cycles to make certain that people know there's a pathway for them.
Now, you mentioned, I wanted to pick up on that toward the end of your previous statement, which was possibly oppressing people of faith. Did you pick up on that? Is that, you think, going to be an issue as you move forward?
Yeah, well, so when I would talk to people, when you would listen to people, and you would knock on their doors, Democrats might talk about social programs. Again, Republicans, they might talk about things like their business or regulation or taxation. It wasn't hard to see that maybe these two things were connected, but the parties want you to think that everything is binary. Either you're pro-business or you're pro-labor, you're pro-education or you're pro-business, you're pro-God or you're pro-human rights. Well, think about this for a minute. I mean, how does that even make sense? How can you be pro-labor without being pro-business? And how can you be pro-business without being pro-education? And God doesn't like human rights? I mean, the answer here is that we don't have to pick these binary positions. We can find ways to try to appeal to both. And what I found in the process is that if you're willing to listen to people, it changes you. You begin to become more empathetic. We have a system today where they're not listening to one another. I don't hate the Democratic Party or Republican Party. I think they both have something beneficial to give, but I want the best out of them. And what we're getting today, it's a long ways away from that. I think bringing independents back into the system is going to force them to start to have to appeal to mainstream voters.
Do you think that maybe the rise in the number of independents, I mean, here in Arizona over COVID, we had so many people move here. I think that probably helped spur the numbers as well. But with RFK Jr., when he started running and, obviously he didn't have the money that other candidates had, so he utilized social media and he took all of his press conferences live on YouTube or live on Twitter. And do you think that was a very important part in opening the door to other independents as well?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. First, it's very difficult for independents to be able to run. I can also tell you it's impossible if you don't have a party structure like we have today. Hugh Lytle, who is running, by the way, he's not only the most competent in the primary, and I want robust primaries. Robust primaries from our standpoint will create more attention. It's good. But he's maybe the most qualified candidate I've ever seen run for governor. This is a person who has accomplished a lot of great things in terms of his business. He's been successful financially. He's financing his own campaign. He put out a press release today that's talking about giving his salary back while he's there. He only wants to do a single term in this, but the goal it's to create a pathway and to create a bridge so we can try to find a way to pull these two parties together. And he can do that better than anyone else I know.
Now, when I hear an answer that starts with number 1, then I know there's going to be a number 2 and a number 3, but we got to break. Can you stick with us for a couple more minutes? Great, we'll be right back. And we are continuing our conversation with Paul Johnson, the former mayor of Phoenix. When he walked into the studio, I said, hello, Mr. Mayor, although that has been many years.
Some years, yes.
But I have to tell you, let's get up to date just a little bit more on what you've been doing since you left the mayor's office. Right. I do have to tell you, and I might be one of only 10 people in the city who thinks about this, but when I walk anywhere in the downtown area and I see trees,
yes,
I think of this guy.
Oh, you brought trees to the desert?
That was one of your main pushes while you were in office to green up, especially the downtown area.
Yeah, we had a lot of things. We had the Martin Luther King Day fight during that period of time. We had a pretty bad recession that we had to work our way through. We tried to plant 1 million trees. And I always believe that one of the most important things that you bring to office is optimism, is a belief in the future. Now, that's easier, I think, when you're from Phoenix. But I say to council members and mayors all the time, if you want to know what our greatest asset is, it's the people of Phoenix. There's this is not pandering in any way. This is a can-do city. This is a place where people want to see things happen. They want to see things move. And that's not always true in cities.
Yeah, we go to other cities, and like I go to Seattle where I went to UW.
Yeah.
I drive on the same darn freeway, the I-5, except now there's 10 times the traffic.
Yeah.
We do get stuff accomplished
Big
here.
growth happening.
But if you wanted to maybe, Celeste, I know you want to, kind of get a wrap up from the mayor here regarding what you've learned since leaving office and maybe how that informs what you're trying to do now.
Yeah, I think what I've learned is that we tend to think that the most important thing is to be right. And what I would tell you in today's environment, I think the most important thing is healing. And the only way we're going to be able to heal is to be able to listen to people who don't look like us, who maybe don't think like us, who are registered in a different party from us. If we can do that, if we can reach out to the other side, we've been handed an unbelievable gift living in this country. There's nothing like the United States of America. I just wrote a book about it called What's Right with America. And the concept is that we've done more to advance human progress than anybody, in any other time and in any other place. The United States is really special. But it's special because we put a focus on the individual, civil rights, human rights, equal rights, property rights, free markets, free trade, free elections. Those are issues that center the individual and empower them in the process. And those aren't owned by either party. They're owned by us. If we're not careful, these two parties, we're not divided. We're being divided intentionally. And that's something that we have to put our foot down on and say we want these problems solved, as opposed to going through what we're just watching in the hearing that was taking place a few moments ago. And I don't blame one side. I blame both sides on this.
Well, I like the title because usually we see what is wrong with America.
Yeah, really.
What is right? To touch on something real quick, and then we'll ask you just one last question. You were in office during the savings and loan crisis here. How did you tackle that were you mayor at that time?
I was.
Yeah.
29 when I became mayor.
Yeah. And for folks who've been here a long time, you remember that was turbulent times for Arizona.
Yeah. So, I had a chance to meet with Warren Buffett when I was there, and I was talking to him about all the problems we had. And I remember he said to me, first, you're in the United States of America. You should have hope and belief in the future. Because, and you live in Arizona. He said, you guys are going to do better than the rest of the country. Part of it was getting people to recognize, of course, we're going to have downturns in the economy. We will have more downturns in the economy. The bigger key is that if we keep focusing on our optimism, our belief in the future, our belief in one another, we're unlimited in terms of what we could do. And that was what I tried to do during that period. Now, I could give you 20 steps, but we don't have the time to go through them. But the single biggest key is believing. And if I were to sum it up, here's what I'd tell you. A lot of people are losing faith. They're losing faith in whether or not we can make this place better. I'm here doing this in this party because I still believe.
And that Hugh can do it.
There's no doubt in my mind. Hugh is a very special, talented person. I'm very excited.
Does he have your vote?
Oh, he has more than my vote. I've been out campaigning for him across the state. So,
all right. Well, that's it. Hey, look, politics can be a rough and tumble business, but I recommend you get out of the boxing.
Yeah, what's happening with that thing,
Mr. Mayor?
Well, took my dog hiking up in the mountain, and he saw another dog that he didn't like. And my dog is faster than I am, as it turns out, and I tripped a couple of times. So.
All right. Well, we wish you the best of luck, and no matter how the election goes, we hope you'll stay in touch with us here at Fox 10 Talks.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks. Okay. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, we've got some other things to talk about, and a lot of it has to do with the world's largest, Celeste, two-day used book sale. In the world, I have emceed this thing now coming up on 40 years.
My goodness.
If you can imagine. The VNSA Book Sale is this weekend, and I got to tell you, it's
Is it already this weekend?
For book lovers, yes, there are crowds, and people come in from all over the world. It's that good of an event. But, I mean, you're going to find this is from last year.
Oh, my goodness.
Are you hungry tonight?
My husband, Gary, loves Elvis. I need to go find that cookbook.
Elvis' favorite recipes, and I think it was for $3.
Wow.
Anyway, let's go.
And on Sunday, they're half off.
Absolutely. Let's do this. Let's go out there now. I believe we have Sue Burns standing by.
Hey, Sue.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
What are you guys?
At the fairgrounds.
You're getting ready.
Go.
What do you got to do?
We are. Well, first of all, we have to collect books, and now we have them all on display for you to come in and fall in love with your books. We have some books ranging from DVDs, children's books. We have 17 categories in all. Children's is one of my favorite sections, and it's one of our customers' favorite sections as well. We also have rare and unusual books. We have treasure books. We have fine art books, a lot of nice fine art books. We also have science, just to name a few. Travel. Are you traveling this summer? Come on in and get a travel book. We also have the West, books about the West. We have House and Gardens. Are you a quilter? You may want to stop by and get some quilting books. Fall in love with some of these books.
Sue, did they rehearse this backward walk with you? Because I've been worried since you started walking backwards, but you're doing great.
You are so talented, Sue, in so many ways.
Would you say that? Oh, by the way, DVDs and old CDs, you know, a lot, probably even old vinyl.
That's those albums, vinyl? Right?
We do have old vinyl. Yes, and if you don't get here on Saturday, it could be gone by Sunday. So you want to make sure you get your favorites on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Do you have a favorite category, Sue, yourself?
Do I? Well, I work in fine arts, so that's my favorite.
Yeah, and right nearby is what they call R&U, rare and unusual.
Yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff there.
Sometimes it's... Yeah, if you're a collector, it's just incredible. Where are you now? Is this like the entertainment area? Pop culture?
We are in fine arts, but we are in a particular area, which is called TV. And we have a lot of entertainment books, books about Disney, just a lot, poetry books, jazz books. Besides the 17 categories that we have the subcategories for all sections.
17 categories.
I don't know what happened to book prices a few years ago, but during COVID, I sort of stayed out of the bookstores, and I love going to like a Barnes & Noble or whatever. But it's not unusual anymore for a new book to come out at around $35.
Oh, my gosh, it's crazy.
The pricing, just give us a rough idea on the pricing on the books that people will find if they go out there this Saturday.
Well, typically our categories will price books anywhere from $2, but it goes on up to, we have books that are hundreds of dollars. Those are the rare and unusual ones. And it could be that we have some signed books that are a little bit pricey too. But for the majority of books, which we have over 600,000 books,
wow,
we keep the prices a quarter of what you would pay in a bookstore.
Yeah, you guys have great prices, Sue. A couple of comments on our YouTube channel this morning, Sue. So Jared Sonora says, yes, I love books about Arizona birds, especially maps. But Christine Carroll, she's saying, I'm looking for Latin and Italian education books. She wants to tutor those languages. Do you have language books there as well?
Of course. Well, we have foreign language books, but we also have textbooks that will be available for purchase.
Nice.
Yeah, so
to learn those languages.
Thinking about going somewhere on a big trip this summer, you can go there. By the way, it's this Saturday starting at 8 a.m. and Sunday at 8 a.m. Celeste, you pointed out, Sunday everything is half price. And I have been kicking off this book sale for generations.
It's so amazing, Ron.
I mean, I get a chance to talk to people, and Sue, I know you've been associated with this for a long time, but I get a chance to talk to people who will come up with their stories, whether they live right around the corner or they flew in from Australia for this book sale. It's incredible. There are people who will fly here for this event and make it a family thing. And so maybe mom did it 50 years ago, and then she brought her daughter who's 30, and now they've got their little grandson or granddaughter too. It really is kind of a family affair, Sue.
Exactly. And we're so happy that they come in for our book sale. Yes, there's some people that probably are close to coming in at least 50 years. We have a couple members that hit the 50-year mark for volunteers.
Wow.
So I know some of them have been coming for quite some time.
Well, you have done an amazing job, by the way. You and the crew at VNSA, Ron, you've done an amazing job. I've been down there with you in years past. I love to go every year. And just kudos to everybody for the great planning, the great event, and keeping the love of reading like a real book alive.
By the way, if you haven't been there in the last few years, it's still at the Arizona State Fairgrounds, 19th Avenue in McDowell. And if you want to be, my advice is if you want to get there right when the doors open, it opens at 8, come at about 6. Generally, the first few people that come in,
they're running.
They were there. Sue, sometimes people are there all night long before the event opens, right?
Well, they can't stay overnight, but they can certainly start lining up early, and they do. Even when I get here in the morning, usually around 6 o'clock, there is already a line that's formed. So, yes, come early, get your favorite book, and fall in love with some books that you didn't even know existed.
Fall in love with reading again. That is so great. All right, best of luck. And we hope to see everybody out there this Saturday or Sunday. And Celeste, like
Ron,
you mentioned.
it looks like people are going to be there, Ron.
Okay.
Yeah, in the chat, they're saying we're going to make our way out there on Saturday morning.
Say hi. State Fairgrounds. It's a lot of fun, that's for sure. It's the VNSA. I think this is their 67th annual. It's a big charity fundraiser, and you get a book sometimes for $2 or $3 or $4 that you otherwise would have paid a lot more for at the store.
Yep, it's amazing.
All right,
I
Celeste,
love it.
Shall we wrap it up here? Hand it over to the new crew, the 11
done
a.m.
already?
crew? Do you want to keep going?
I'm crying.
Okay,
no,
Celeste.
There's no crying in news. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, well, come on in. We're going to keep things rolling here now at 11 o'clock. And man, it has been yet another very busy news day. So we're going to kind of recap some of the biggest headlines all developing over the past 24 hours or so in regards to Nancy Guthrie.
Yesterday when we were on, we had the images released by the FBI as well as the video again while we were live. This is a potential suspect or subject of interest. This is Nest doorbell camera that was taken from the front of Nancy Guthrie's home the morning that she disappeared and was kidnapped. Yesterday, subsequently in the evening in Rio Rico, Arizona, which is just about 10-15 miles from the Mexico-Arizona border, police detained a man. Detained meaning you cannot leave on your own free will. They did not arrest him. They spoke with this man. They got some information, and he, in turn, was released. Spoke to our cameras as well.
Yeah, basically was saying he had no idea what exactly happened. He said he never even knew who Savannah Guthrie was or any idea who the Guthrie family was to begin with. So again, he has been released. And I think a lot of folks were very excited when they heard that there was a potential person detained in the case, and then it turns out that he had nothing to do with it and he has been released. So we're kind of back to square one, but it seems that we are getting a lot of calls into the Pima County Sheriff's Office with tips regarding what we're seeing as far as that new surveillance video that came out. In fact, they were getting so many calls that the Pima County Sheriff's Office was saying, please only call 911 if you have a legitimate lead or you have spotted Nancy Guthrie. They said they have just been kind of inundated with people calling 911 in and around the area, basically kind of adding their 2 cents, kind of hypothesizing, and they're saying, listen, we can't stretch our resources this thin with people that don't have a legitimate reason to call 911.
The other important thing that really is developing within the past couple of hours, we know we had 2 ransom notes. The first one sent to 2 local news stations in the Tucson area, as well as TMZ. And then we had a second note that was sent last Friday. And then today, TMZ is saying they received a new letter in this case. It was
this is bizarre.
It is bizarre. It was sent directly to TMZ, and they're reporting that this demand, there's a demand for what? Bitcoin, which is $67,000. Now, they are not the kidnappers.
No.
They are saying that they know who the person in the video is.
So this is the other thing that's interesting, because we talked about this. The FBI is offering a $50,000 reward, but these people are saying, give us Bitcoin and we'll tell you who it is. So again, FBI is obviously looking into this, but this is just kind of another little caveat and a weird, I guess, right turn that this story has taken over the past 24 hours now that we have released this video.
When the video was released yesterday of the suspect, Savannah Guthrie did take to social media saying she does believe her mom is alive. And once again, asking the public, if you recognize this person, call the FBI. It's 1-800-CALL-FBI. You can call Pima Sheriff's Office as well directly and help bring Nancy home. She says bring her home is the hashtag that she's using.
All right. So, of course, we're going to continue to follow this throughout the day. If we get any new developments throughout this half hour, we, of course, will let you know. But we're going to move on to another story here. And this is very exciting for me because this is actually a close personal friend. I went to high school with our next guest. Jessica Jerome is joining us live from Italy. Good morning, Jess.
Buongiorno.
Good evening. Hi.
Oh, yeah, it's evening there. It's evening there. It's good to see you.
What time is it?
Great to see you.
It's 7 something, right? 7 p.m.?
Yeah, it's just after 7 p.m.
Because we're holding you up from getting to a dinner tonight. So we're going to make this fast. But I want to talk about this, Jess, because this is so interesting. As people are watching the Olympics, I want to talk about female ski jumping, to be specific, because back in, well, you probably know better than I do, back in the 2010s, you and a group of other women that were ski jumpers sued the IOC, the Olympic Committee, basically saying, why can't females ski jump?
And it's hard, Jessica, to understand and comprehend why women weren't able to participate in this sport in the 2010s.
Yeah, it was really hard for us too. Ski jumping is one of the 6 original sports in the Winter Olympics. It never included women. The Olympic Committee for a long time said that there weren't enough women doing it. There wasn't enough viewership. And we, like Ty said, essentially sued actually the Vancouver Organizing Committee because at the time, Canada was hosting the 2010 games. And there is a law in Canada that says that any facility that has public funding can't discriminate. So that was kind of our way to try to be included in that.
So, yeah, walk us through kind of the process, because you worked with obviously some lawyers, but you also had the former mayor of Salt Lake City, Didi Corradini, that was also kind of helping you champion this.
Yes. So it all kind of started. My dad brought home a Nonprofits for Dummies book because we were all trying to travel and compete, and we didn't have any financial support. So that's kind of how it got started. It was very grassroots. And then in 2004, my teammate Lindsay Van actually met Didi at real estate school. And as the conversation goes, she said, "Oh, you're a ski jumper. That's amazing. Are you going to go to the Olympics?" And Lindsay said, "No. And this is why." And Didi, she kind of took that personally. She worked really hard to get the Olympics in Salt Lake in 2002. And she actually didn't even realize that women ski jumping, it was the only sport that didn't allow women. So she and a group of, other local people, and also we had some lawyers helping us out. That was kind of the avenue that we took. We lost the court case. Essentially, the judge in Vancouver said that while she does believe it's discrimination, they didn't have, it's essentially not in their jurisdiction to tell the IOC what to do. So that's how that went. Eventually, we were included in 2014 in Sochi. So that was the first time women were ever allowed to ski jump at the Olympics. And then a quick side note, I do want to point out, there still is one sport in the Winter Olympics that doesn't allow women to compete. And that's women's Nordic combined, which is ski jumping and cross-country skiing together.
Wow. Folks at home, reminder, you can watch us on YouTube, ask questions. This is a really fascinating topic. And so Jessica is happy to ask any of those questions. Jessica, tell us a little bit about ski jumping, about the sport, how you train for it, how you prepare for the Olympics in a sport like this, and why you think it was such a hurdle for women to be able to compete.
Ski jumping, it's a very European-centric sport. It's been very male-dominated for the longest time, and it has very deep roots and tradition. And when I was growing up skiing, honestly, it came down to the boys just didn't want to let the girls play, was really how it felt. My teammates and I, Lindsay, Ty, you also went to high school with her. We would travel overseas all winter and compete with a group of women from all these other countries. And all of us kind of had this same goal. We all wanted to be able to ski in the Olympics. So I know for a lot of Americans, they only tune into winter sports once every 4 years. But we had a competition circuit every year. So the way we're training is on the hill, actually taking practice jumps. We train in the summer as well. There's plastic and porcelain on the hill, which allows you to jump on it. And then aside from that, of course, there's dry land training, weightlifting, lots of plyometrics, just any kind of training that goes into trying to be an athlete.
A lot of dedication as well.
We were just looking at those photos, Jess, of you guys at the Olympics in 2014. Take me back to that moment. Well, because after all this big fight, I mean, obviously you had been ski jumping for most of your life. And then that moment that you're actually able to go to the Olympics, which is the pinnacle of the sport. What was that like?
It was incredible, honestly. It felt like it was the party that we were finally invited to. We really felt like we did it. And I think our goal ultimately was we didn't want anybody else to have to deal with a lot of the stuff that we dealt with. So in addition to trying to train and compete and be athletes, we were constantly fundraising and advocating and doing media and stuff like that. And it kind of took a toll mentally. It was really tough. So that was sort of our hope, was that we could leave ski jumping or women's ski jumping in a place that it could continue to grow and attract women.
You're real trailblazers, and you don't really see that in this day and age. You know, usually all of these barriers were broken 20, 30, 40 years ago, which is so incredible. Tell us where you are now.
And what are you doing?
And what's going on?
So I'm actually I'm outside of Predazzo in Italy, and I am working as the assistant technical delegate for the ski jumping events here in Italy. So Lindsay, my teammate that I keep referring to, she actually pointed out to me, she said, Jess, think about it. She said in 2002, you and I were 4 jumpers. We were essentially test jumpers for the men. There was a small group of us locally in Park City, Utah, which is where the facility was. She said, and then 12 years later, we went to Sochi together, and we were among the first women to compete in women's ski jumping. And she said, and now 12 years after that, you are the first female jury member for a ski jumping competition at the Olympics.
That is
so
cool.
It's been really fun. I definitely get a little bit of imposter syndrome still, but being on sort of the front side of the sport and having a really deep understanding of where the athletes are coming from has really helped me learn all the stuff that goes into it.
Hold on, and we've got to toot your horn even more, because I screenshotted what Lindsay wrote about you, so I could get this out there too. You placed 10th in the first ever women's ski jumping in the Olympics, and you still hold the best finish for American women to date at that 10th place. So that's huge.
I do. It's kind of crazy to think about that. But a quick plug for our current women competing. We had all 3 in the top 30 in the final round the other day.
Amazing.
And they blew me. I was so proud of them, watching them on the coach's stand. And of course, because I'm an official, I have to remain neutral. I'm trying to take care of everyone. But I was very much like a little bit of a proud mother.
Oh, I bet.
When you know, and they were smiling and they were happy, and they all had amazing jumps. You know, a lot of the time ski jumping doesn't go the way you want it to. There are a lot of weather factors, external things that can mess you up. And just putting 2 jumps together in a competition is always kind of a feat in itself. And so to see our 3 women competing and having an amazing time and having good jumps, it made me so happy.
That is so cool.
I love that you're going to go down in the history books, and then in 10, 20 years, when these future female ski jumpers are going to be thinking about it, reading about it, they're going to be looking up at you. We would love to have you in studio if you're ever in the Phoenix, Arizona area.
Down.
We would love to chat with you in person. Thank you so much.
Bye, Jess. Thank you again.
Guys.
Amazing.
Making Park City proud, Jess.
And Ty.
And me.
And Ty. Thank you.
Love you, Ty.
Bye. See ya.
Okay, we'll be right back,
Bye,
everyone. Quick 2-minute break.
All right, welcome back in. We are moving to another pretty serious topic that has been kind of dominating the headlines over the past, couple of months now. Really kind of talking about it. So we have Dr. Wassim Ballan, make sure I get that name right,
Correct.
from
Good
the Phoenix
morning.
Children's Hospital with us here this morning.
Doctor, as of February of this month, we've had a measles outbreak in Arizona with confirmed community transmission, including here in Maricopa County. Last year, we were reporting, I guess it was more outlying regions where the population wasn't as large. And then just the other day, we were talking about possible transmission at Sky Harbor Airport.
Correct.
It's scary because this was a disease that we thought was eradicated in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, we in 2000 we thought that we got the elimination status, which means that we are not seeing cases, happening and transmission within the outbreaks. But unfortunately, recently over the last couple years, specifically 2025 and now into 2026, we're seeing more outbreaks happen in the U.S. And right now, as you mentioned, we have transmission, what we think is transmission within Maricopa County, which obviously a very populated county.
What do you consider an outbreak? How many cases?
So it's not typically related to the number of cases, but it's basically when you start seeing, transmission within the community, and especially with such a contagious virus, because this is probably the most contagious virus that we know of. And that's the concern about it in terms of how, things can get out of hand once you start having that transmission in the community.
Sure. So, Doctor, let's talk about this because you kind of had to change the way, I guess, you do the schedule when it comes to that MMR, the measles, mumps, rubella injections, or rather, it is an injection, but vaccine. That's the word I was looking for. So talk about what you guys have now changed and are recommending to parents.
Yeah, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommendation for the vaccine in the U.S. is usually when there's no outbreak, we give the first dose at 12 to 15 months, and then the second dose at 4 to 6 years. But we know from experience, worldwide, that you can give the dose sooner than this, especially when there's an outbreak, to protect the infants, because obviously, the people that we worry about with measles are specifically the young infants, but also the immunocompromised patients. So infants, less than 12 months of age, are vulnerable to the infection. And this is why in a situation when we know that there's transmission in the area, we usually give them a dose sooner than the first dose that they get. But that's an extra dose. It's not a replacement for any of the 2 doses.
So they're essentially doing the three doses.
Correct. Then. So instead of being on a 2-dose schedule, they will be on a 3-dose schedule, because we know that the immunity that they would get from that first dose, if they get it at 6 months, is not going to last enough to give them protection.
It won't last that year. Yeah. Wow. So I think you mentioned 92% protection.
So usually if the dose is given at 12 to 15 months, that's about 93% protection, and that goes up to 97% when you get the second dose at 4 to 6 years.
So if you're going to be traveling with your 1.5-year-old who's just had that one dose, how concerned do you need to be?
Honestly, it depends on where they're traveling to, right? And depending on, if there are outbreaks in those countries, and which we know globally, there are a lot of outbreaks of measles happening in every country. So in a situation like that, when you have a child who's only gotten 1 dose of the vaccine and they're not old enough to get the 4 to 6 year dose, so the second dose, then they can get an expedited schedule and get the second dose as early as 4 weeks after the first dose to kind of, give them that maximum protection from the vaccine in case they get exposed to measles.
Does the measles present any differently in children than it does in adults, and what should parents maybe be looking out for?
So measles, actually, the presentation of the disease is kind of predictable. There are some variations depending on some of the patients, but usually it's the sequence of symptoms are pretty much the same with some variations. And to make things confusing, especially when you have an outbreak happening in the winter season, a lot of the initial symptoms of measles can mimic, what you see with influenza and other respiratory infections. So usually a lot of times there's a delayed recognition that this is in fact measles, and that's what makes it more problematic, because those patients are then, contagious, and then they can spread it on to someone else.
From the moment of exposure, which we don't even usually know if we're exposed, because again, you're traveling or you walk into a restaurant. how much time before we start seeing these symptoms, and then how much time, what can you do at that point? Once you either have the symptoms or are diagnosed, is it too late to go get a vaccine? Should you have your child vaccinated if they do get the measles?
So obviously we prefer that everybody is vaccinated before they get that exposure, because we want to make sure that they're protected in case this happens. However, there are some things that we can do sometimes if we know that the exposure just happened. For example, if we know the exact time that they were exposed to someone with measles, then we recommend giving the vaccine within the first 72 hours of the exposure, because that is shown to, modify the disease. And even if they have the symptoms of the disease, they would be much milder than if they did not get the vaccine. There are other medications that sometimes we use. Those are what we call IVIG, but those are usually preserved to patients who cannot get the vaccine.
Okay.
So the vaccine is still the most protective tool that we have in our hands.
Best thing to do, it sounds like, is contact your pediatrician, your doctor, and sit down and discuss what needs to be done. And
absolutely. I mean, this is why we're encouraging everyone to make sure that if they were not vaccinated and they know that they haven't gotten the vaccine, this is the time to get that protection, especially as things are evolving and we may be seeing more cases in Maricopa County.
Well, Dr. Ballan, we really appreciate your time this morning and making this so succinct and easy to digest, because sometimes it's a big topic. We appreciate you talking to us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot going on there. So we'll put the doctor's information up the website and make sure that if anyone has any questions, then they can definitely reach out that way. But, it was just the other day where we were talking about Sky Harbor Airport, and that there was some contact made there. So it's really hard to figure out exactly where all of this is taking place, but we will keep you guys posted, put all that information on. Okay, we are going to switch gears totally. So we've been talking about a lot of serious stuff the past couple of days.
We need to lighten it up a little bit.
We do. Hand something over, girl. Hand something over. I'm going to start reading right now.
This is her book right here, you guys. We have Kara McDowell. She is a local author. And this is your, what number book now, Kara?
This is my 6th published book, but it is my first adult romance.
Oh,
okay.
I have to tell you, my dream is to write a book. And I know I never will be able to. I don't have the skill or the talent.
Yeah, you do.
But my goodness, I love reading. I love it.
Were you a reader as a kid and that kind of translated into what you do now?
Absolutely. I was always that kid who was at the library, who was, just always had a book in my hand, couldn't go anywhere without one. I have always known I wanted to be a writer.
At what stage did you have a previous career, or did you always just start writing?
I was an English major in college, and I kind of knew that that's what I wanted to do.
Smart.
Yes. So I was a freelance writer for a little bit after college while I wrote my first novel, and then took off from there.
Let me ask you this, because to me it's just so daunting, because I'm not a very good writer to begin with. But it just seems like there's a lot of hurdles in order to get your book to be
give that back
in an actual book form. Like, walk me through what it was like to find an agent and the copywriting process and all of that, because it's wild.
It is. It is a long process. It can be a frustrating one, but also I love writing, so I enjoyed most of it. So you write a draft, and then you edit it as much as you can. You try and get an agent for it. The agent is then the one who will take that draft, who will take that manuscript and send it out to a publisher, and then the editors will read it, and hopefully if they like it, they will offer, and then you sign a contract with the publisher, and luckily they take care of the copyright and the cover and printing and everything. All of that. Yeah.
Wow.
So you started out with doing like young adult romance, graduated to adult romance.
And is this a little spicy?
It's spicy?
It is.
Show me the spicy pages. I can do some out loud reading.
No, we probably shouldn't.
Okay, so Valentine's Day is Saturday. I think that one of the most romantic things you can do is write your special someone a love letter.
Oh,
I love that.
Would you? How would you even go about as a writer?
Just hire her to do it. That could be your side gig, Kara.
Yeah, she probably doesn't need it. But I mean, what would you put in a love letter to someone?
I think the most important thing you can do if you are writing a love letter or a special note to someone is to make it really personal, because those are the things that'll stand out. Those are the things that'll remember. And don't try to copy, poetry or a love song, generic. I've loved you since the moment I saw you. Doesn't really work as well as just like a really personal detail that you remember about them.
I love that.
So how personal are your books then?
So this book is actually about 2 writers. writers, so I know when people read it, they're going to be like, "Oh, is
that
this
you?"
Yes. And I'm always like, "It is not."
And the girl also went to U of A, which you went to U of A.
Right. Yes, but it is not me. But a lot of my experiences in the publishing industry,
Gotcha.
Did inform the character. But yeah, it was
They
really
always say
fun.
write what you know, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
This
She
kinda
knows
helps it.
romance, guys.
So
We have a question.
Since she does know romance, she brought in some romance books. So if folks are looking for a little something spicy for Valentine's Day,
Yes.
what are some of the books you brought us?
So I brought The X-Vows by Jessica Joyce, which is
Okay.
a spicy,
It's a spicy
second
one.
chance romance.
Okay.
I have Seeing Other People, which is written by a husband and wife author team.
Oh, really?
Yes, which is really cool. This is a romantasy, and it's the first in a duology called The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy.
And I can't help me out there.
And then, yes, this is a YA
it's not going to
fantasy.
show. It's a green cover.
It's all right.
That's
You
okay.
get
It's
the
kind of
idea.
neat.
It's a gorgeous cover.
It's a beautiful cover.
I
Here,
didn't
hold
even
on. Look.
think of that.
There we go. No.
Oh, it doesn't work that
So we
way.
have a question for you in the chat. What was your favorite book as a child? What's your favorite book now as an adult?
Wow,
not
that's a good
including
question.
not including your own books.
Okay, absolutely. Oh, that is a really good question. That's a tough one to answer.
Our viewers put you on the spot, Kara.
Yes. Okay. So Emily Henry writes the most amazing adult contemporary romances. There's one called The People We Meet on Vacation
Yes.
that actually is just
It's a movie.
Yes, a Netflix movie that just came out. But she has one called Book Lovers that is about writers, and it takes place in this whole, kind of industry, and it is fantastic. So I
That
highly
is
recommend
cool.
that. Yeah. And then as a kid, there's a book called I Capture the Castle, which is actually one of the first YA books that was ever written. It came out in the 1930s, I think.
Oh, really?
Yes, and it was written by the same woman who wrote 101 Dalmatians.
Oh.
But it's
Not as dark.
no, but it's fantastic.
What was your favorite book growing up?
You know what? I'm trying to think.
I
I came up in when the Harry Potters were big.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I read the first couple of Harry Potters, and my grandma was a librarian back in the day, so she would always send me books. So I had all sorts
Everything.
of. There was a book called The Page Master,
Oh,
which I
yeah.
think they turned into a TV show or a movie or something. But I loved. I mean, yeah, same kind of thing.
Cool.
But let's talk about your book. We've got about a minute left.
Okay.
It comes out April 7th.
Yes, April 7th. It should be in bookstores everywhere. You can pre-order it online right now. It's a second chance romance, or you might have heard of one of the tropes is enemies to lovers. This is more lovers to enemies to lovers. And so it shows, their past history and what went wrong between them. And then they meet up again on their old college campus in Tucson at the Tucson Festival of Books. They are forced to work together. And
Anita's trying to put your book in there for
to put your
you.
book
You gotta
up
go
and
right
it's up
there.
How do you come up with the names? Mars Darling first met West Emerson on a bench outside their writing class.
yeah, so her name is Margot, but she goes by Mars.
Oh,
which is a cute little thing in there. And he's West. Yeah, I don't know. They just came to me.
Just spoke to you. There you go.
How do people find you?
My website is karajmcdowell.com. You can find out the information about all the books that I have. And then on Instagram, I'm Kara J. McDowell Books.
Well, congratulations
Thank
to your
you.
continued
Thank you
success.
so
We can't
much.
wait to read it
Yeah.
April 7th in
Come back
bookstores
with the
everywhere.
next one.
I will.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Bye,
Ron and
guys.
Des are on their way.
Well, it's a cloudy start to the 11. Well, you could kind of call this the lunch hour. 11:30. I think some people go out and grab lunch at 11:30. Very cloudy out there today, Des, which anything to keep it from getting back to 85 degrees in February, I'm in favor of.
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely in favor of this 10-day that we have because finally it's that change I think a lot of us were hoping for.
Yes, right. Okay, so that's that look right there. Let's see what Dean came up. Look at that, would you? San Francisco Bay, I'm thinking. When you get a chance to, well, although not necessarily. Some of those bills, who knows? We'll find out from Dean a little bit later on. But it's Ron and Des. It's 11:30, and your day. It's Honolulu.
Oh, it's Honolulu.
Yeah, nice. Very nice.
Thanks, Dean.
Put that on your bucket list, everybody. I know people want to go to Hawaii for the beaches, but if you go to Honolulu, it's... only about a 30-minute drive out to Pearl Harbor. And wow, is that a powerful place to go spend some time. So, Des, it was about this time yesterday morning that the whole story, there was just a major shift in the story of missing Nancy Guthrie with the release of the doorbell cam.
Yeah, I think it was finally the information, that we were all hoping for. Obviously, the hope is that we have a great ending to this story, but I think we were just praying some information would come in that would help either tips come in leading to who this was, or we were hoping that they found a big break in the case. And hopefully this is it. Hopefully it leads to that.
I guess Google owns Nest, and you see the Nest logo right there on the picture. The reporting that I had heard was that for days the FBI was actually working with Google to figure out a way to go back, even though apparently the camera wasn't on an active subscription, to figure out a way to go back days and days ago and see if they couldn't still pull up what the camera had seen. And so obviously it's the first major break in the case. Let's do this, Des. Let's go to Steve Nielsen. He was in Tucson yesterday. Steve, are you on your way to Tucson right now, or are you actually there in the foothills as we speak?
I actually just pulled into the Pima County Sheriff's Department here, anxiously awaiting to see if they will give us a news conference today. We have not had one of those in a long time. I think we all assumed we'd get one yesterday when they released those surveillance images and videos to give us perspective on them, what they want the public to see out of them. But they didn't do that. So we didn't get a chance to talk to the investigators at all. So hopefully we get a shot today to be able to do that.
Now, Steve, we were chatting yesterday on out of what we call the BNR, the Breaking Newsroom studio that we have, and we had thousands of people just on TikTok, hundreds more on YouTube. The interest in this case is like something we haven't seen in many, many years. Now that you've had close to 24 hours since you were first in Tucson, and you've looked at this video so many times, do you have any thoughts, any perspective on what it is that we've now seen?
Well, as far as the public interest in this goes, I think something that makes this so engaging to the public and wanting to know more about it, when was the last time any of us can remember covering a ransom case like this? These are the things you see in movies, TV shows. The fact that the ransom was sent to TMZ of all places too, it just makes you go, what is going on here? The fact that Nancy is an elderly woman in her 80s, the fact that she clearly had some mobility issues heightens all of this. The medical issues involved in all of this. It makes you go, why would someone want to kidnap her? And now we enter the 11th day of this here. There's such an engaging component of just wanting answers. Who could do such a thing? Why would they do such a thing? Putting a ransom on her. And none of that is to include the fact that her daughter is Savannah Guthrie, one of the most famous news anchors in America. It's a shocking, we use that word a lot in the news, but it's a shocking story. There's never really been anything quite like this in my reporting career. And I've been doing this 20 plus years. I'm not sure how you'd weigh in on that, Ron, but there's just so much to take in here. And as we show up here at the Pima County Sheriff's Department, the amount of questions, maybe they haven't held a news conference because they know every single reporter here has about 5,000 questions about this one. That news conference would last for hours.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I went back and did a little bit of research. Back in the 1960s, Frank Sinatra's son, Frank Sinatra Jr., was kidnapped and held for ransom. There was, back in the 70s, a high-ranking Italian politician named Aldo Moro who was kidnapped, and they talk about proof of life. They released all kinds of photos of him. But I guess in more recent times, the only thing that would even compare would be Elizabeth Smart, and we're coming up now on 25 years since that happened, and it's still forefront in people's memory. So for some reason, these kind of cases, they just bore into the memory of people, and this is going to be something that particularly just even people living here in Arizona, feeling so close by, most of us have been to Tucson. You know, it's a story that you'll never forget, no matter how it ends, whether it has a happy ending or a very sad ending.
Mm-hmm. And you know, like you mentioned, Steve, we've got that layer of this is the mother of a national TV host, Savannah Guthrie. And I think that is the part of the big draw, because the big question is, why would you do this to, you know, someone who is related to this case that you know is going to draw in that much more pressure, that much more attention? And it leads to that question, what is the motive of this kidnapper? Is it the attention? Is it really the ransom? What is the motive here? But I also found it fascinating, Steve, I don't know if you can talk more about this, but the fact that the FBI now has their elite hostage team there in Tucson, what does that mean? Is that indicative that they might be closer to finding her?
You know, and that's one of the questions we'd love to talk to investigators about. What does it mean about all these resources being activated? You know, we saw the SWAT team cars leave yesterday. All of a sudden, that raises suspicions of what's going on as the FBI is going door to door in Annie Guthrie's neighborhood, not Nancy's neighborhood. And as you talk about the, you know, the reasons for all of this, and it being the mother of Savannah Guthrie, something that hasn't been mentioned a lot that I'm thinking back, I was here, I started our coverage here back last Monday, so within 24 hours of the kidnapping. And I was neighbors were much more chatty back then. You know, they've been a part of a media circus now for 11 days. They want a sense of normalcy at this point. But I talked with a couple of neighbors who told me they had no idea that Nancy's daughter was Savannah Guthrie. Although she's, of course, a very proud mom of her daughter, the fact, you know, that she's that there's been those news clippings before of her being there at the Today Show and supporting her daughter in that way. It wasn't necessarily something she that she, you know, said at the top of her lungs to everyone who walked by. It wasn't necessarily public knowledge in that sense. And these were next door neighbors that didn't know this, that her daughter was Savannah Guthrie. So who knows about that connection? But I just thought that was interesting, that wasn't you know, standard knowledge in the neighborhood. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much going on in this case at this point. I'm genuinely excited to see what happens today. Yesterday, and the reason for that is because yesterday I was talking to Tim Romer. He's former CIA agent, cybersecurity guy now, and he was telling me once these images and surveillance pictures come out, and he told me, he goes, this is going to move fast. And he immediately brought up the Boston bombing. When the pictures came out of Jakar and Tamerlan Tsarnaev, when those pictures came out, it moved fast at that point. It had been slow, and then those pictures came out, boom, we knew what was going on. And he felt like that would be happening in this case. And I think that bore out yesterday. Immediately, we've got someone getting, you know, pulled over in Rio Rico down there near the border. And now all of a sudden we've got SWAT team movement. You talk about that FBI team of hostage negotiators coming out here. It just feels like the activity is times 1,000 on what it was Monday morning.
Well, there's so many odd things that are kind of happening in this case as we go along here. And then today we have the new information, again, broken by TMZ, that they have contacted and received another letter of someone claiming to know or potentially know who the kidnapper might be and is now requesting a Bitcoin payment for that information. And the question there is, if you had information, why wouldn't they call that FBI tip line or the Pima County Sheriff's tip line? Because there is still that $50,000 reward out there. So just so many interesting and questionable things coming out.
And then that leads you to believe, if they're sending that email, do they know whether or not Nancy's alive, her whereabouts? I mean, it's just confounding, all of this. And it sounds to me from this latest the letter that sent to TMZ that's from a different person that sent the original 2 ransom notes. And, Tim Romer, again, talking to him yesterday, he runs cybersecurity now. He knows his stuff. He was saying it is just a matter of time before they track down who the sender is of those emails, that they will be able to eventually figure it out. Proof in the pudding of that is he felt confident they'd be able to get surveillance images, even though she didn't potentially have a subscription to the doorbell camera that was there. And 8 days later, what did they do? They got those surveillance images. So he feels confident that whether that ransom note is tied to the person who did this, they will know who sent that ransom note eventually.
1 minute left before a break here, Steve. Is it your sense that they are starting to back off the investigation of that particular family member? This would be the husband of Annie, who is the daughter, who naturally you're going to start, your focus is going to be with the tightest circle of people. And he obviously was the last person to see her live, dropping off. Is it your sense that that's kind of winding down, or is ramping up?
I won't speak to, as far as the investigation into a specific person. What I will say is the neighborhood around Annie's house is very active. They were not just going door to door and questioning neighbors yesterday about what they've seen. They were going through their surveillance images and videos. They were going through their properties. They were lifting up bushes, looking behind trees, going through dry washes out there. It was an active search yesterday in her neighborhood.
All right. Steve Nielsen doing a great job for us. You can catch Steve, I'm sure, right off the top of our noon news. So if you're watching on the Fox local app, we just transition from this to our live 12 noon coverage. Steve, thank you. Good job.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. Ready to take a break yet?
Yeah, let's do it. Mystery Cam?
Mystery Cam.
All right. If you want to put in your guesses, get them in the chat. And we'll have more coming up after the break.
It's 11:45. It's Ron and Des. Hanging out with you here until 12 noon on YouTube. A lot of folks jumping in with their guesses. Des.
Yes, we've got a couple guesses in our chat right now. Virginia is a guess in there this morning. That is from Thomas Brown. Low Philosophy, Alabama. Linda thinking it might be Utah.
I am looking at the high desert there, and it makes me want to guess Wyoming. So I don't, I mean, there's something, it could be like a New Mexico. Do we have any New Mexicos?
No, none of those yet. No.
I feel like with Utah, on the one side of when you're going up the I-15, it's just flat as can be. And on the other side, you got 12,000-foot mountains, the Wasatch. So anyway, I think I'll go with Wyoming. How's about you?
I'll go, I'm not going to leave Linda alone today. I'll go Utah.
Okay, ready. Here we go, everybody.
All right. And the reveal is, it's Pasco, Washington.
Is it really? Let me go back and look at that. Okay, so that's what they call the Tri-Cities. I don't believe we've ever had that camera up before.
I don't think so.
And very familiar with it because the Wenatchee Panthers, when I was in high school, we would play the Pasco Bulldogs.
Oh, how were the Bulldogs? Were they tough?
The Bulldogs were actually really, really good.
Oh.
They had a couple of guys that went on to major college stardom, that kind of a thing. But yeah, the Tri-Cities are Richland, Pasco, and Kennewick, and it was always tough playing Pasco. And it was always tough playing the Richland Bombers. Now, why is Richland called the Richland Bombers? Because the original work that was being done, not just in Los Alamos, New Mexico, for the very first bomb that was ever built, the big one, the big nuclear bomb, they did a lot of that work up at the Hanford nuclear reactor site just outside of Pasco and Richland.
Wow.
So they embraced it.
Little rich history there for Pasco.
The Richland Bombers.
Wow.
They embrace it, that's for sure. All right, let's continue on here. Let's bring in Traci Brown. I'm really fascinated to have a chance, Des, for us to talk with her. She is a body language expert. And of course, the whole country is talking about the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. And let's just start off with your original thoughts. Now, you've seen the video that came out yesterday. You've seen the family releasing videos. Kind of give us your big picture take on your takeaways so far.
Well, here's the most interesting thing that I've seen was the video of this fellow that they detained yesterday. And when they asked him, so he showed a lot of stress, okay, as you would. So he's cracking his knuckles, he's wringing his hands. His gestures are big, like his elbows are away from his sides, right? So he's trying to make himself big, like meet the press dead on. And then they asked him, what was the exact question was?
Hold on one second. We have that clip. Let's just roll it.
Okay,
let's roll it. Here we go.
You were apprehended for questioning. How would you describe what happened to you?
Terrifying. Something I didn't do for something. I was being like, I felt like I was being kidnapped, bro, because they didn't tell me anything at the beginning.
Or were you the one who was pulled over in the traffic stop?
I was the one that was pulled over in the traffic stop.
Where was that?
Right here on by Chubasco.
Okay, and you were taken into custody at that point?
Yeah.
And you were
I was being detained.
Detained, okay.
I was detained the whole time.
What were they asking you about?
Where my whereabouts.
Okay.
Where do I work? Where was I and all that? But
are you ever up in Tucson?
Yeah, I work in Tucson.
What do you do?
GLS, deliver packages.
Okay, do you think you might have delivered a package to Nancy Guthrie's house?
I don't know. Might have been a possibility. I don't know.
Yeah, do you ever deliver like Amazon packages or anything?
Well, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. So do you think you may have? Did they indicate that you might have been on her property? You're not sure.
Nah, they just came up. They. Until right now, all I know is that they show my in-law a picture of somebody wearing a mask or something, and they supposedly look like my eyes.
Right. Okay.
That's it. That's all I know.
All right, Traci, take it away. Your take.
Right. So it was the next little line he was about to say, and they asked him, "How did they connect you to this?" And he goes, "I don't know, man." But he smiled really big. He goes, "You have to ask them." And so that for me is a big red flag, because he follows it very closely after by saying, oh shoot, what was that quote? It was about that's all I can tell you, right? Which means either that's all he knows or that's all he's saying, right? And there's more to say. So, so just that little quick analysis of this tells me there's more to know here. And this wasn't a law enforcement interview, so they didn't ask, "Hey, did you do it? Do you know who did?" Like, they didn't ask those direct questions, and he never said where he was. Like, there was a lot of times where he didn't finish his sentence, and they kind of cut him off, and they just let him fade away there.
Just because we have limited time, let me just jump in and ask. Let's talk about yesterday's video too. So we got your points on that one. The whole world's talking about the video that we're now showing. What was your take on the almost, I don't know if you want to say casual or laissez-faire or kind of laid-back way the guy approached and then went down and picked up some plant material? Give us your take there.
All right, so this tells me that he has not been there before, because he did not realize that there was a doorbell camera, and he goes and he tries to get a handful of flowers to block the camera, which is just ridiculous. He's got a backpack full of stuff, and he doesn't have tape in there. I mean, it's just unfathomable how unplanned this thing is. So we're not dealing with a pro here.
And that was the interesting part, right? Because he looks like he came prepared. I mean, he's got the mask, he's got the gloves, the backpack, he's got the gun in the holster as well. So in the video, we're going between the video and some of the images, the body language that you're picking up on that video, that tells you what about him, Traci? What specifically is he doing that triggers you to think something?
Well, in this kind of case, if he had a specific plan, he would walk tall and be focused into doing the mission. And instead, he's wandering around trying to figure it out. So that is another tell that just backs up the amateur hour that we're seeing here.
What about the flashlight in the mouth? To me, I think if I had one of those little flashlights, and who knows, I could go through my toolbox in the garage. Maybe I do have one. That seems like unusual. That seems like somebody who's very used to dealing with it. You're putting it in your mouth.
I had a question about that. Like, how big is the flashlight? It's really hard to hold a flashlight in your mouth for any length of time without feeling a little choked and, getting it to point the right way. So I had big questions about that. And I went, I'm big into the outdoors, and I was like, are there any products that do this? I could not, for the life of me, come up with anything there. So he very highly unusual is what I got from this one.
So as a body language expert, and you pick up on, things that people do, their gestures, whatever that is, what are some big gestures that are very troubling that might indicate that someone might be lying?
Oh, just in general, you look for discrepancies between the body language and the words. Okay, so you got to believe the body first, take the words with a grain of salt. So generally, this means yes, like nodding your head means yes, right? And shaking your head like this means no. So if someone said, and I'm not saying he did, but let's just say in general, if someone said, I would never do that, then you have a tell, right? And or if they said, you could ask me anything, then you have another tell right there. Like their body is telling you, because it takes a great deal of energy for our brain to run, and then for it to lie takes even more energy. And so these are the things, like our body's like, we can't do it, we'll give you the words, we won't give you the body language to go with it. And so those are just some of the things that we look for. Overall, though, you got to understand there's not just one tell for deception for everyone. You want to compare people to themselves, and if you just get good at one thing, you'll be able to see when someone may be trying to pull the wool over your eyes. And that is just looking for change, because our brain operates differently when deception is at hand, and it's doing too much. It gets into what's called cognitive overload, and the body language goes wrong.
Yeah, interesting.
Anything from the various videos that the family has released? We did see Savannah that last time. Boy, was that heartfelt. When she's like, we're in our, our hour of desperation, or how exactly she put it. And then there were the earlier videos where she was appearing with her brother and sister, and that was maybe when the tension was at the highest point. By the way, we've got about a minute and a half left, but any thoughts on the various videos?
Well, I think the big Savannah's, they're all very stressed. I think what's curious to most people is the brother. And I think he's the one closest to melting down. I think he's the strong, silent type. And watch him, he grabs his elbows. And when people grab their elbows, they are under threat. And I just don't think he has the, emotions aren't his jam. And so he's come across as, stoic, and people are making all these assumptions about him. They're not true. It's just his personality type.
What do you pick up from Savannah?
Oh, I think she is, we see those tight lips, and that's anger, and that's holding back. These things that we've seen her say, the first two videos were scripted, at least helped and scripted by the police for abduction recovery and things like that, like talking directly to people who do this. So the third one is the most genuine.
Okay. Well, lots of really interesting info there, Traci. We know you've spent a long time here reading people's body language, and that's why we wanted to have you on today. We really appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you, Traci.
Yeah. Okay, Des. So the half hour came and went that fast.
Yeah, that was a very fascinating conversation, though, with Traci. And it was interesting to have her pick up on the movements from the gentleman who was detained. I didn't notice that he was cracking the knuckle.
Yeah, I didn't either.
His gestures didn't stand out to me. So that is fascinating, the way someone with that expertise really thinks and analyzes
And I think maybe part